everyone. Welcome to Stitching Spencer, my channel where I talk about all of the crafts that I've been getting up to, which recently has been a whole lot of cross-stitching. To anybody who's new here, hi, nice to meet you. I hope you'll stick around and get to see some of the things I've been working on. To everybody who's subscribed already, I want to do a really big thank you. I know that my uploading has been not consistent. I'd like to record more often, and I've yet to figure that out in my schedule. Additionally, I have hit 100 subscribers recently, which is just cool. So thank you to everybody who has decided to do that and has decided that seeing what I'm up to is interesting enough to check back in on. This is being recorded today. It is March 26th. It is pretty late in the afternoon, and I'm going to have to piece out of here, so we might have a little bit of clipping some things together. I last filmed on January 2nd of 2025. I posted a wrap-up for the end of 2024, and I also did a Floss Tube Extra, which was my 2025 Whip Parade. So it is time to check in on all of the things that I've been working on since I filmed those things. I'm going to try to do this quickly, but any of my subscribers will know that I tend to be a bit drawn out. I've got a good number of projects to go over. I've got my notes in a couple of different places, so I will have some bopping around with my eyesight and things, but let's jump right in. I am going to go over all of the projects that I've worked on over the last 3 months, give or take. I am going to do them in the order that I worked on them initially, but I've bounced around these and put a lot more work on them in between all of that time. So the first project that I'm going to be talking about is a stocking kit by Busilla. It's called Father Christmas. I will pop up both a picture of what it's supposed to look like in the end and where I was the last time that you guys saw it. I'm doing everything called for. The kit calls for 6 strands. It's a needlepoint canvas, so that's what I'm doing. I have put 8 total days into this project this year. I do not count my stitches on this, and I do not have a total number of stitches. It's a paper chart. So we're just going to see where I'm at. So this is where that kit is at this point. I'll do a zoomed out, and then I'll come back in closer. I finished up all of the main stocking last year. And now I'm just working on getting this red filled in. So I've clearly brought it down to here, give or take. So I've still got all of the bottom left to do and then back stitching, and I need to put the name up at the top. But this is coming along quite nicely, and I'm very, very pleased. I try to work on it, give or take, on a weekly basis. I tend to take it with me to church and work on it during service. So that is where I'm at with that piece. The next piece that I have been working on is, my needle minder was in the way. The next piece that I've been working on is the piece called Celestial Orcas by Needle Lot Design. I'll go ahead and pull up my information over here. This project is currently being stitched on a 32 count Lugana by Mystic Fabrics in the colorway Enchanted. I'm using all of the called for floss, and I did have a little bit of a mishap in this piece. I did find out as I was working, I'll have photos up, there's all of those cute like stars and constellations in the background. And I did find out that as I was working those, they didn't connect right when I kind of looped back around. Aurora, my dear, you're in my way. She says, no, I'm not. Everybody wants to see me. So those constellations did not match up appropriately. I found out that I ended up getting like a half stitch off on my Lugana. And by the time I realized it, it was at the end when I was getting everything ready to get close to connecting, and I was not going to be taking that out because they're all in the background. So I did that. over the last couple of months, I have in fact finished all of the cross stitching. I've put in a total of 17 days so far. And that got me up to 100% complete on the actual cross stitch part. There's all of the little purple swirls in the background that are actually half stitches. So I've been working my way through those right now. When I started the year, I had 1,093 stitches in, which was 35.1% complete. And I have since put in the total of the 3,113 stitches. Plus I've been counting some of my back stitches, those half stitches. I just haven't been super consistent. I don't always have them marked. My system right now says that I've put in a total of 4,192 stitches. Sometimes if I have to frog or redo something, that may include that, so it might be a tiny bit off. So I'll have shown you where I was. I will have shown you what it's going to look like. I need one extra clip because the one corner of this fabric is falling. And this is where I'm at. So, as you can see, have all of the main stitches completely finished. And I've been working on all of these like little swirls that go around the sides. It's been a tiny bit difficult just because, like I said, they don't line up. So what should have been really simple half stitches, I'm sometimes having to move around or skip some spots just that way I'm not running into the stitches I already have. But it's coming along quite nicely. I'm almost there with all those extra ones. I have a plan hopefully to get all of the stitching done for this piece by the end of March. I have plans for a full finish on this and I want to just give myself some time to go ahead and get that done. So yeah. Oh, I'm doing this 2/2. That's the one thing that I forgot to mention. All of the called for DMC, but I'm doing it 2/2. The next thing that I worked on was my project called Outlander Bookshelf. This is a piece that is designed by Taylor and Cromwell. I'm currently stitching it on a 40 count linen. I think it's called Doris. I haven't pulled my notes up yet, so give me just a second to make sure that I'm not misspeaking. Yes, it's a colorway called Doris, dyed by Grace Notes. I am stitching this 2/2 with all of the called for DMC. Since the beginning of the year, I have put 12 days of work in on this for a total of 1,834 stitches. This project is a little over 27,000 stitches. And I brought with me into the year, I had a total of sorry, all of my notes didn't get to that point. I brought into this year, it was 4.8% complete, and I had 1,297 stitches. And as I said, I am up to a total of 3,131 stitches, which brings me up to 11.6% complete. So this is where I'm at. I went ahead and I got in a whole one. Oop. Of one of these books. And started on the next one. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can up my brightness just that way it's a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I had so much trouble with this green book. I did all the yellow stitches first so I could fill in the green, but I had so much trouble counting. I like did it and then I frogged and then I did it and then I frogged and then I did it and then I frogged and I did it and I made it all the way up to the top and then I was doing the green and I realized as I got down like all the way down to this part that I did these two yellow motifs too close together, and at that point there was no way I was frogging it again, so I added an extra green row to the top of the book. and we'll figure out the back stitching when we get there, because there's supposed to be back stitching there. Anyway, really enjoying this beyond that, but it was really kind of hard to get that taste out of my mouth. I had some really big whip go goals this year across the board. My goal for this piece is to get to 15% complete. I will see. We're kind of taking whip go as a pause right now because this was so hard and I was still having issues with everything else. And we'll see where we are from there. So after I worked on that and was a little bit burned by all of the work that I've been doing on that, I pulled out my piece, The New Normal. This is charted by Long Dog Samplers. It is being stitched on a 36 count zombie linen by Live and Die LA. This was kitted by my dear friend Melissa, who has her channel Diary of a Hyperactive Crafter here on YouTube. She's currently considering a name change, so if you can't find it like that, I'm sure that I'll have more information. I have only worked on this for one day in 2025. I said that I was stitching on the linen. I am using a floss called Aurora Borealis, which is also by Live and Die LA, and I'm doing 2 strands over 2. Yeah, so this is where I'm at. I am still working on the big square frame. I put in a total of 223 stitches on this when I added to it, which brings my total up to 3.7% complete of the 37,830 stitches total. I started the year with 1,158, which was 3.1%, so just a little bit of progress on that. Nothing too crazy, but we'll see. After I worked on that, I try to teach my camera to pay attention to me. Yeah. I worked on a project that I've just called Heroes. It is also charted by Taylor and Cromwell. I'm doing that on a 32 count linen called Cypress by Fiber on a Whim. I'm using all of the called for colors, stitching 2 over 2. This came from a subscription box by Taylor and Cromwell for the author of the books that this is referencing. The author is who made the quote that I'm stitching. The design does not have the author's name in it, but I reached out to Taylor and Cromwell and asked if they could share the alphabet that they used for some of the quote, so that way I could put her name at the bottom. And they not only responded to the email, they sent along they actually charted it and sent along the chart for me to be able to use. So I am here at this point. I've worked on this for a total of 3 days this year, for a total of 403 stitches. I do have this at 89.1% complete at this point. I brought it in to the year with 2,125 stitches. I don't have the percentage written down. So it's coming along real well. I just have to finish the E of Heroes, and then there's a cat that I've got to stitch and then put that name in, and then this will be completed. I do have a plan to finish this piece this year, so whip go or not, I'm feeling pretty solid about wanting to get this done. So yeah, this is where I am on that. The next project that I worked on is a piece that I am calling Starry Wall-E. I'm pretty sure that the artist of the work just called it Wall-E. This is a piece that I am stitching on just black Aida. I'm pretty sure it's 20 count black Aida. The artwork is by an artist called DJ Vigo. It's charted by Thread Geeks. I am stitching it on 20 count black Aida. I'm using the called for DMC, but I'm stitching it 1/1. And this is where I'm at. I have put another 3 days into this project this year. Despite that, I actually, because I had to do a ton of frogging right at the beginning of the year, my net number of stitches is less. Although I might have had that mathed when I did my whip parade, because my notebook says that I had 481 stitches coming into the year, and I currently say that I have 712 stitches total. So I did put new things in, but I still haven't made up all of the stitching that I did before I had to frog. So that's where I'm at on this. Haven't worked on it actually in a little bit. I think the last time that I worked on it was early February. February 11th, according to my notes. So that's where we're at. My notes do say that I'm 2.6 complete on that. My Notion notes that I'm using for this project are based off of the stitches of color. There is a lot of black in that piece. So if I end up having to stitch any of that black, that percentage is going to be incorrect. But it's a more accurate percentage, I think, than what Pattern Keeper tells me, because it says you've got all this black left, and I don't know that I'm going to stitch it. The next piece that I have to talk about is a piece called Disney Heroes. This was charted by L Cross Stitch on Etsy. I worked on this just once this year, and put in a total of 200 stitches into it. I'm currently stitching this on a 16 count Aida that is in the colorway Polar Blue by Mystic Fabrics. And with the 200 stitches that I did this year so far, I brought myself up to 10.7% complete. I had 919 stitches at the beginning of the year at 8.8% complete, and now I'm up to 1,119 and 10.7%. Here's where I'm at. Got those 200 stitches in here. I'm using all of the called for DMC 2/2. Nope, 2/1, because this is Aida. That's where I'm at. The next thing that I worked on was my project called A Midsummer Night's Fairy. This is a Mirabilia that I'm working on. I've worked on this a couple of times, both back in February when I first worked on it this year, and then somewhat more recently. This is charted by Mirabilia. It's an Nora Corbett. I'm stitching it on a 32 count linen called Shades of Grey by Mystic Fabric. I have put in 4 days on this so far this year for a total of 638 stitches. I do not have a percentage on this project because this is a paper chart. I'm using the called for DMC, stitching it, well, DMC and Kreinik when I get to the Kreinik parts, stitching it 2/2. And here's where I'm at. I'm kind of doing a back and forth. I work on her dress, and then if I get a little bored of the stitching, because it's kind of a lot of block stitching, and the color is really similar to the background color, and I get a little bit bored sometimes. I've been doing that, and then been going back and forth with the branch that she's sitting on. So this is where I'm at. The next thing that I have to talk about is the Tale as Old as Time stitch along. That is a project that was designed by Story Stitches. She has a website. She's done quite a few different stitch alongs and has some really fun designs. This is an old one. I think that it was an actively releasing stitch along in 2022. I am stitching this on a 32 count romance, 32 count Lugana in the colorway Romance by Silkweaver Hand Dye Fabrics. I'm using the called for DMC 2/2. Yep. I have stitched on this twice this year so far for just a total of 219 stitches. So it's not a lot, but this is where I'm at. I am still working on the frame. I want to do this frame first and then fill in the frame and then work on all of the things inside. I am also going to do the optional title. So I'm going to have Tale as Old as Time at the top. But this is where I'm at. I don't have a total percentage because I don't have it listed in Notion how many stitches it is because I'm doing it as parts. But this is where I'm at. See, I think January was a little rough because I was so focused on trying to do my Whip Go goals and work on that Outlander piece that I kept struggling with. And then February, I was like, over all of this, I'm going to Sweewee and stitch what I want when I want. And that resulted in a lot of, sorry, my needle minders are sticking together on my next project. That resulted in a lot of, well, I guess I'll just work on this. I guess I'll just work on that. I was doing a lot of things for fandom, so I was stitching things that actually met the prompt or that I just wanted to work on. So February was a big month on that sense. March, I stitched a lot less. I was out of town for a whole little while. I'll talk about that in life, but I did work on some things, but it was more a couple of focus pieces, which were mostly the ones that you saw towards the beginning of this video. So the last thing that I'm going to show you progress-wise today is my Over the Garden Wall chart. It is by an unknown designer. I don't have any of the info. I'm really, really sorry. I'm stitching it on a 32 count Lugana. It's an opalescent Lugana by Mystic Fabrics. It's called Nebula. I'm using all of the called for DMC. I'm stitching this 2/2. I brought this project into 2025 with 2,780 stitches for a total of 35.3% complete. I've put a total of 2 days into this year for only 114 stitches, which brings me up to 36.8% complete and a total of 2,894 stitches. So here's where I'm at. Starting to bring around all of the stuff at the top. Part of this is I struggle with this higher count fabric because it's so dark. I love it, but I struggle stitching on it. I like to work my projects top down and left to right, and I am working this, I kind of started in the center, and then like I did all the stuff at the bottom because I like to work top down, a lot of the stuff at the bottom. But now I'm kind of trying to loop up, and it's just not the way that I typically stitch. So that's where I'm at. Not a ton of progress, but I like to say every stitch counts. I've done 1.4% this year, and we'll see what happens for the total year and for all of those fancy Whip Go goals I made. That is all that I've got stitch-wise. Progress-wise, I'm going to chat about a couple of things and then get starting on editing so this can actually get posted. I do want to take a quick minute before I get into life things and like hopes and dreams to do a little bit of an enabler spotlight / who I've been watching recently. I've been on and off of Floss Tube, but this last little bit I've been really enjoying getting back into it, trying to keep up with some people, checking out a lot of my subscriptions. So some of the people that I just wanted to mention that I've really been enjoying recently, I've been watching Uplift Stitches. That would be Melanie and Michael. They're a married couple who share their stitching progress, and they also share the board games that they like to play. I really, really like both parts of that. They're really, really kind and nice people. They stitch a wide variety of things. Melanie really likes snowmen, which she calls snow friends, and there's always something related to that over there. Plus there's some really fun things. So I love listening to them chat. They're really, really, really kind. I think they upload about once a month pretty consistently, and it's just nice to catch up on the things that they've been doing. I also need to do a quick shout out to one of my table mates from my OG StitchCon experience, although we have repeated table mates since. Levi, who has a Floss Tube channel now, O Stitch Happens. Highly recommend that you check that out. He has a wide variety of projects to show off, and tends to rotate through them with some pretty solid consistency, showing off the things that he's been working on, the things that he has goals for. Highly recommend checking out that channel. The other channels that I've been watching more recently that like are newer to me, I've been having a really fun time watching Morti the Brom. It's been super fun getting to see their stuff, and just having somebody new in my rotation of things to be watching. They've been doing it for quite a while. I think their most recent episode was episode 52, so they've got a lot of a backlog to watch if you want to watch everything they've got. The other thing that I've been watching recently is Colin over at Stitchpocalypse. He is a newer channel, although I'm sure that a lot of you have already heard about him. There have been a lot of really big names that have mentioned enjoying some of the things that he's been doing, like the Thread Gremlins. I've only watched his first 2 episodes, but I really, really enjoy the things that he's working on, all of that kind of stuff. So some good options to bounce around if you'd like to check any of those out and you haven't heard of them before. My hopes and dreams, which are going to sound a little repetitive, I hope to record more consistently and actually upload. So we'll see whether or not that actually works. I'm hoping to get Celestial Orcas done by the end of March and be able to start working on the fully finished object for that. Beyond those, I don't really have any big ones right now. We'll see where I'm at. I want to try to keep participating in fandom stitching, and maybe I'll either revise my WIPCO goals or see where I'm at and whether or not those things seem attainable. Life's been good. Things have been a little bit busy. I've had some colleagues leave my company, so we've been shuffling around the work a little bit more. We had somebody on extended medical leave for a little while. They're doing really well, but they just had to be out for a procedure. So things have been busy work-wise. Got a lot of stuff around the house that we're trying to take care of. Lots of fixing things and upgrades and making sure that things look nice. We spent a week, my husband and I spent a week in Vegas. I had a continuing education conference out there, and then we did some vacation-y things. We're getting ready to head to a wedding here towards the end of April. We found a church that we really enjoyed that we started going to late last year. So that's been where we spend a lot of our Sundays. Getting to know people, doing things there. We've got a lot of friends that we try to meet up with on a regular basis. So my free time has just been dwindling. So there hasn't been a lot of free stitching time, and there hasn't been a lot of time for recording, but I'm hoping to get a little bit better about that. My husband got a new job back at the end of last year, and he is loving it. That's fantastic. We're doing pretty well, all things considered. My mom just came up for the weekend. We had a great little time. She took some time to drive all the way up here and hang out. We did take a bit of a jaunt over to Black Cat Stitchery in Amory, Wisconsin. They're a newer brick and mortar shop. While we were there, I picked up a couple of things, so I'll do a tiny bit of haul at this point. While we were there, we each found some things that we liked. I'm not a big sampler person, but I really like this antique evergreen sampler. I think that it's really, really cute. I don't love stitching alphabets, but I like that there's like words in the middle of these alphabets, and I think that these are pretty darn cute. We'll see. Maybe I won't actually like samplers very much even when I finish it. I also picked up the Dark Golden Delicious from the Artsy Housewife. She's got two different varieties of this. She's got a light one and a dark one. I tend to like stitching on darker fabrics and these darker color palettes, so I'll be interested whenever I get around to this. I've got a lot of other things that I'm working on right now, but that'll be a nice thing to be in my little stash. I also picked up the Nora Corbett Pisces. I'm a Pisces, so I think that these are really, really beautiful, regardless that this whole horoscope set is really, really pretty. But they had mine while I was there, and I went, oh, I'll go ahead and grab that. So I grabbed most of the beads for that piece. I'm missing, I think, a pack that my friend is going to hopefully help me get when we place a 1, 2, 3 stitch order here shortly. But tried to keep this fairly short and sweet. Again, thank you to all of my subscribers and to anybody who's come back, especially with this moderately long hiatus. And thank you to anybody who decided to stick around this long. Hopefully we'll get to know each other pretty well. Chat in the comments. You're very welcome to reach out to me on Instagram or through my email. I'm always happy to have a quick chat. I'm looking forward to continuing to grow my little circle and having a good time with all you guys. Thanks so much.